On November 15th, 2014, Wisconsin's Melvin Gordon would have himself a career day, breaking not just the school or Big Ten record, but also the NCAA record for rushing yards in a game in just 3 quarters, during a crucial matchup against number 16 Nebraska. It is a game that is special to me, not just because of Gordon's performance, but also for some personal reasons as well, as it was one of the last football games I got to watch with my paternal grandfather. While Gordon's rushing record only lasted a week, because he did it in 3 quarters on 25 carries against a talented Nebraska team, in my opinion, it is the greatest rushing performance in college football history. Plus, it led to this amazing call by Matt Lepay, Wisconsin's radio broadcaster.
To the 25, to the 20, Gordon 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Wisconsin! Record-breaking run, Melvin Gordon, 4:08.
But what do you think? What is the most impressive rushing performance in a game by a running back in college football history? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I have some big things planned this year. Number 20 Wisconsin would take on number 16 Nebraska at Camp Randall in the middle of November in a crucial game for both teams. Wisconsin entered the game 7-2 with their 2 losses to LSU and Northwestern, while Nebraska entered the game 8-1 with their only loss to Michigan State. The Badgers, Cornhuskers, and Minnesota Golden Gophers were in a tight fight for the Big Ten West title. It was the first time the two were playing each other since the Badgers had beaten the Cornhuskers 70-31 in the Big Ten title game in 2012. Since the Big Ten created the rivalry back in 2011, the Badgers had won 2 of the 3 previous matchups in dominant fashion, with their only loss coming in Lincoln 30-27 in 2012. The all-time series was tied at 4 apiece, with this being the 9th matchup. It also was the first year of the Freedom Trophy as the Big Ten tried to create a Wisconsin-Nebraska rivalry. Heading into the game, many expected the winner to win the West, with the Gophers still having to play both Nebraska and Wisconsin, as well as Ohio State. The Badgers were viewed to have the edge going into the game, with the Cornhuskers' defensive front being inconsistent throughout the year, though they were extremely talented. Their running back Amir Abdullah was hurt, and the game was being played in Camp Randall. This game was expected to be a tight and physical one with a lot on the line. Badgers' 5th quarter wrote back in 2014, "This feels like the game that's going to come down to the wire. Whoever wins, they're going to earn the inside track." Key players for the Cornhuskers were going to be Randy Gregory, Amir Abdullah, and Tommy Armstrong, while the Badgers relied on Joel Stave, Melvin Gordon, and Vince Beagle. Heading into the game, Mississippi State was the number 1 team in the nation, with the top 4 being rounded out by Oregon, Florida State, and TCU. It was the first year of the 4-team playoff as well. The weather report for the game was 26 degrees and overcast with a chance of snow. It was the coldest game in Camp Randall history since 1964, when it was 11 degrees against Minnesota almost 50 years to the day. Todd McShay was the field analyst, and on a personal note, it was one of the last games I got to watch with my paternal grandfather at their house before he later passed away from lung cancer. So this game will always have a special place in my heart. So without further ado, let's get into the game. The Badgers would receive the opening kickoff, taking it to their own 24-yard line. Gordon at the time was leading the FBS with 166.9 yards per game and was looking to have a big game. On his first carry, he would be stopped at the line of scrimmage, and on the next play, Kenzel Doe would fumble the ball and Nebraska would recover on Wisconsin's own 30-yard line. Not a great start for the Badgers, who were looking to pull off the upset at home. The defense, which was coached by defensive coordinator Dave Aranda, would get a stop to only allow a field goal. On the next possession, the Badgers would go 3 and out, but almost capitalized on what was first thought to be a muff punt. But after review, it was found that Bart Houston's punt would ricochet off McGuire, the long snapper, and was not first touched by Nebraska, setting up the Cornhuskers with great field position once again. Randy Gregory was causing fits for the Badgers offense, and it looked like it was going to be a long day for the Badgers. Tommy Armstrong would connect with Kenny Bell on a 12-yard passing touchdown to give the Cornhuskers an early 10-0 lead. Finally, on Gordon's 4th carry, he would break one for 42 yards, rushing on a counterplay which set the Badgers up great for getting some points. But once again, the Badgers would fumble on a run by Tanner McEvoy, but it would be recovered by Gordon, who was blocking down the field. The Badgers offense would sputter out, and they would only be able to get a field goal. The Wisconsin defense would get a quick stop, getting the offense the ball back. Melvin's 5th carry would see him stopped after only a 1-yard gain. On his next carry, he would get stopped for a loss and fumbled the ball, giving the Cornhuskers great field position once again. The quarter would end with Nebraska threatening to score in the red zone, and it looked like this was going to be a long day for the Badgers. For the most part, the defense had held Gordon in check, aside for his big 42-yard run. He had less than 50 yards and a fumble, and no one could have guessed what would happen the rest of the day. Melvin Gordon grew up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, about 2 hours southeast of Madison. He would attend Mary D. Bradford High School, where he would star in track and football. Throughout his track and field career, he would impress, even going on to be one of the top long jumpers in the state. In 2011, he ran the 55-meter dash in 6.39 seconds, which was enough for first place. He earned a second-place finish in the 100-meter dash at the 2011 SEC, Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association Southeast Conference, Outdoor Conference, and recording a career best time of 10.95 seconds. At the 2011 WIA Track and Field State Championship, he took silver in the long jump event after posting a career best leap of 7.2 meters, 23 feet and 7 inches. On the football field, he would go on to be a superstar. He rushed for 500 yards during his freshman year and scored 15 touchdowns. As a sophomore, he would improve by rushing for 1,200 yards and 23 touchdowns. He had gone from a skinny, fast kid to a player who could do it all. He would begin to collect award after award his junior year after rushing for 1,098 yards and 11 touchdowns, while also having 5 receiving touchdowns, which led to him being named the honorable mention All-State and All-Region by the WFCA, First Team All-Area by Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and First Team All-County by Kenosha News. 6 of Gordon's 16 touchdowns came from a distance of 75 yards or more. Bradford finished undefeated in the SEC Conference for the first time in 50 years. The Red Devils lost to Marquette in the Division I state quarterfinals. He saved his best for last, rushing for 2,009 yards and 38 touchdowns as a senior, and also had 3 receiving touchdowns. He was named the Gatorade Player of the Year, Conference Player of the Year, First Team All-State Selection by the AP and WFCA, and WFCA's Offensive Player of the Year. Throughout his high school career, he had gone from a 5'10" and 160-pound kid to a 6 to 190-pound running back. Coming out of high school, Gordon, according to 24/7 Sports Composite, was a 4-star recruit who was the best player in Wisconsin, 18th best running back, and 249th best player in the 2011 recruiting class. According to 24/7 Sports, he was the 6th best running back and 54th best player in the class. Melvin earned over 13 different Division I offers from the likes of Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. He originally committed to Iowa, but would later flip his commitment to their rivals, Wisconsin. He had taken 3 or 4 visits to Iowa and loved it, would have a change of heart. Many wondered why. With some going on the internet and writing, Gordon was turned off after witnessing a fight between Iowa players following a loss to Ohio State. Gordon would later dispel those rumors, saying he never knew where they had come from. Tommy Armstrong would take a quarterback run untouched into the end zone to take a 17-3 lead, which made it the most points the Badgers had given up in the first half all season. Gordon's 7th carry would only be a pickup of 2 yards, and the offensive line was getting really no push up front to this point. His 8th carry would only be for a yard, but on his next carry, Gordon would break another run, this time for 62 yards, to bring the Badgers back into the game with a touchdown while also bringing his rushing total to 115 yards.
Stabby on first down, hand off Gordon, off the right side, has space, 45-50, 45-40, 35-30, still up and gone, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Melvin Gordon!
He had 53 yards before that carry, and it made it his 19th career 100-yard game. Gordon was now coming alive, and Gordon would rush for an 8-yard run on his 10th carry, while his 11th carry would be for 3 yards. Gordon would break another run for about 15 yards, but would have his second fumble of the game, ending the Badgers' drive. Wisconsin now had 3 fumbles on the day, but the defense would respond with forcing a fumble of their own to bring the energy back into the game for Wisconsin. Gordon's next carry would be for 39 yards, as he showed he would not allow the fumbles to affect him.
Bounces right, now he has room, 50, 45-40, 35-30, Gordon to the 20, Gordon inside the 20, and down to the 17-yard line.
Corey Clement would score on the next play, would get hurt on the play, with the game now tied 17-17. Gordon would have another big run on his next carry for 44 yards on his 14th carry. Gordon now had a 62-yard run, 44-yard run, 42-yard run, and 39-yard run on the day. Nebraska had only allowed 3 carries for over 35 yards all season long to this point. The next play, his 15th carry of the day, would be a physical 9-yard run. Gordon now had over 200 rushing yards with 234 yards on the day, and his next carry would be for 4 yards. Joel Stave would connect with Sam Arneson for a touchdown to give the Badgers their first lead of the game 24-17. Badgers defense would get a key stop, and the two went into half with the Badgers up 24-17, having 320 yards compared to Nebraska's 115. Gordon would finish the half with 238 rushing yards, just short of Michael Bennett's school record of 258 yards in one half, which he did against Oregon in 2000. Wisconsin had scored 21 unanswered points as well. As a freshman, Gordon saw time in 3 games, rushing for 98 yards and a touchdown. His first career touchdown came against South Dakota on September 24th, but would receive a medical redshirt after a groin injury. Gordon was a different type of running back compared to the Badgers greats that came before him. Wisconsin backs had been known to be big, strong guys who could bowl you over. Guys like Ron Dane, John Clay, and Monte Ball were not afraid of contact, and some may actually say they actually looked for it. Gordon and his partner in crime, James White, did not really fit that mold. Gordon was a guy with top-end speed and could break it for a touchdown on any play. He was also quick and agile. Picture a LaShawn McCoy in his prime with the Philadelphia Eagles. Gordon came into the 2012 season as the third-string running back behind Monte Ball and James White. He had his first 100-yard rushing game against UTEP when he went for 112 yards and a touchdown. He set a career high of 216 yards on 9 carries, averaging 24 yards per carry in the 2012 Big Ten Championship game against the Nebraska Cornhuskers, where the unranked Badgers defeated the number 12 Cornhuskers by a score of 70-31. Let me know if you guys want me to do a retrospective on that game down the road. In the Badgers' Rose Bowl loss to Stanford, Gordon would rush for 51 yards on 9 carries. He finished the 2012 season rushing for 621 yards and 3 touchdowns on 62 carries. Gordon and White would be a two-headed monster for the Badgers in 2013, splitting a majority of the carries. Gordon rushed for over 100 yards 8 times and 150 yards twice. His best game of the season came in a loss to Arizona State when he rushed for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns on 15 carries. Whenever Gordon rushed for over 100 yards, he also rushed for 140 yards. He finished 10th in the country and 2nd in the Big Ten with 1,609 rushing yards, setting a UW sophomore record while also rushing for 12 touchdowns. He led the nation and set a UW single-season record at 7.8 yards per attempt. He was named a Maxwell Award semifinalist, Doak Walker Award semifinalist, honorable mention All-American, second team All-Big Ten consensus, and academic All-Big Ten for the second year in a row. Heading into the 2014 season, Melvin was viewed as a Heisman Trophy contender that was named in numerous award watch lists. It was going to be his first year at Wisconsin as the featured back, with James White now playing for the New England Patriots in the NFL. Gordon started the season strong, rushing for 140 yards and 16 carries. Wisconsin's season opening loss to number 13 LSU in Houston, but only saw 3 carries in the second half. Many questioned why head coach Gary Anderson would do this with the Badgers up 24-7, but would go on to lose 28-24. Against Western Illinois, Gordon would only rush for 38 yards on 17 carries. He followed that game up with 253 yards and 5 touchdowns on 13 carries against Bowling Green, 181 yards and 2 touchdowns against USF, 259 yards and 1 touchdown in a loss to Northwestern, 175 yards and 4 touchdowns against Illinois, 122 yards and 3 touchdowns against Maryland, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns in a very cold game against Rutgers, a game I was at, and 205 yards and a touchdown against Purdue. He entered the Nebraska game with 1,501 rushing yards and 19 touchdowns. Melvin Gordon's first carry of the half would be a 9-yard run. After a penalty, Gordon would rush for 4 yards on the ground, but it would result in a Badgers out. Then Spiegel would force a fumble to give the Badgers back the ball. Previous possession, they had picked Armstrong off as well. Gordon's 19th carry would be on a jet sweep where he took it down to Nebraska's 1-yard line on a 43-yard run. Melvin would then score a touchdown on a 1-yard run for his 20th carry to bring his total to 295 yards, a career high. Amir Abdullah would fumble again, being the 4th forced turnover for the Badgers defense, yet it would be overturned as Abdullah was called down as the snow began to fall. Gordon's 21st carry would go for 69 yards down to the Nebraska 6.
Here he goes, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, down the sideline, Gordon to the 30, to the 20, to the 10.
To give him a school single game record for 360 rushing yards. His next carry would make his total 369, resulting in a 6-yard run and his third touchdown of the day. Wisconsin was now up 38-17. Gordon would almost break another big one, but got tripped up for only 7 yards on his next carry. Gordon would break the Big Ten rushing record previously held by Anthony Thompson from Indiana, which was 377 yards, as Gordon's total was now up to 382 yards. Tanner McEvoy faked a handoff to Gordon and rushed for another touchdown for the Badgers. Nebraska would once again fumble on a poor exchange between Amir Abdullah and Tommy Armstrong, and Wisconsin would recover with 12 seconds left in the third quarter. Then history would occur.
26-yard line. Here comes Melvin to the 25, to the 20. Gordon 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Wisconsin. Record-breaking run. Melvin Gordon, 4:08.
Gordon would break the NCAA FBS record on a 26-yard rushing touchdown, leading him to jump around, finishing the third quarter with 192 total rushing yards, and one quarter bringing his rushing total to 408. Breaking LaDainian Tomlinson's TCU and NCAA record 406 rushing yards. He finished the game with 4 touchdowns and averaged almost 16 yards per carry. With the Badgers up 52-17, he would sit out the fourth quarter. He was on track to run for 544 rushing yards, and it could have been more with the Badgers trying to run out the clock the rest of the game. Reminder, he finished the first quarter with under 50 rushing yards, so between the second and third quarters, he rushed for 358 yards. Dario Gumbawale would score a rushing touchdown himself to give the Badgers 56 unanswered points and finished with 581 rushing yards on the day and only 46 passing yards. After a fumble between Bart Houston, the Badgers punter, and Dare, Nebraska would score a late touchdown on a Terrell Newberry 1-yard run. Gordon finished the game with an NCAA record at the time of 408 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on 25 carries, averaging 16.3 yards per carry in 3 quarters as Wisconsin demolished Nebraska 59-24. Oklahoma freshman Samaje Perine rushed for 427 yards against a really bad Kansas team the following week, breaking Gordon's rushing record. Gordon finished out the rest of his college career strong with 200 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns against Iowa, 151 yards and a touchdown against Minnesota, and 76 yards in a loss to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. He finished his college career rushing for 251 yards and 3 touchdowns in a bowl win over Auburn. He set the Outback Bowl rushing record with his performance. He was named the MVP of the game. Gordon finished the 2014 season rushing for 2,587 yards, the second most in a season behind Barry Sanders, who rushed for 2,628 yards in 1988, and 29 touchdowns, averaging 7.5 yards per carry, and also had 3 receiving touchdowns. Gordon was one of the Heisman Trophy finalists, joining Oregon quarterback Marcus Mariota and Alabama wide receiver Amari Cooper. Gordon became the 4th finalist for the Heisman Trophy, all of whom were running backs for the Badgers. Alan Amici in 1954 and Ron Dane in 1999 won the award, while Monty Ball in 2011 finished 4th in the final balloting. Gordon finished 2nd in the Heisman Trophy voting behind Mariota. He was a Doak Walker Award winner, Maxwell Award finalist, Walter Camp Player of the Year finalist, unanimous consensus first-team All-American, Grange Griffin Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, Michi Dane Big Ten Running Back of the Year, and first-team All-Big Ten consensus. He finished his college career with 4,915 rushing yards and 49 touchdowns, which ranks 3rd all-time at Wisconsin and 6th all-time in the Big Ten. He set the FBS record for career rushing average with 7.79 yards per carry, was the fastest player to reach 2,000 rushing yards in a season in 2014, owned 22 career 100-yard games, including 19 of 140-plus yards and 7 of 200-plus yards, and was the fastest player in Wisconsin history to reach 1,000 career rushing yards. Gordon finished his college career as one of the greatest running backs in Wisconsin history. He would declare for the 2015 NFL Draft and had set an NFL Combine record at the time for the 60-yard shuttle with 11 seconds. San Diego Chargers would draft Gordon 15th overall in 2015, but he would never find the same type of success he found in college and the NFL. Throughout his NFL career, he struggled with the injury bug, only playing in 16 games in a season twice in 2017 and 2021. His best season of his career came in 2017, when he rushed for 1,105 yards and 8 touchdowns, while also having 4 receiving touchdowns for the Los Angeles Chargers. He has 6,462 career rushing yards and 55 touchdowns with the Chargers and Denver Broncos. After struggling with fumbles in 2022, the Broncos would waive Gordon, who would then sign with the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad, where he would earn a Super Bowl ring despite not having played for the Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season or postseason or even the Super Bowl. He has since signed a one-year contract with the Baltimore Ravens. While Melvin Gordon's NFL career has not been as great as many expected, what he was able to do in college, especially against Nebraska, was magical and is worth remembering. Although his NCAA record only lasted a week, I personally believe his rushing performance against the Cornhuskers is the greatest single-game performance since he did it against a top 20 team in just 3 quarters. What do you think? Who was the greatest single-game rushing performance in college football history? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more college football content. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.